Rain hammered softly against the cafe windows while people hurried through the cold evening outside. Inside, the small coffee shop glowed with warm yellow lights and the smell of cinnamon and fresh espresso. Ethan Cole sat quietly in the corner booth with his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Her tiny hands wrapped around a mug of hot chocolate while crayons and homework papers covered the table between them. Ethan looked ordinary to everyone around him. Faded jeans, a gray hoodie, tired eyes, the kind of man most people ignored without a second thought, but exhaustion clung to him in a way deeper than lack of sleep. Raising Lily alone after losing his wife had carved silent pain into his face. Lily smiled while coloring a picture. "Daddy, look, I made you a superhero." Ethan laughed softly. "That's definitely not me." "It is," she said proudly, "because superheroes protect people." Before Ethan could answer, loud laughter echoed across the cafe. 3 college-aged guys near the counter kept staring at him. One of them, tall with a leather jacket and expensive watch, smirked loudly enough for half the cafe to hear. "Man, look at this dude," he mocked. "Single dad starter pack, homework and hot chocolate on a Friday night." His friends laughed. Ethan ignored them and kept helping Lily with her spelling words. But the guy wasn't done. "You know," he said, walking closer, "maybe if you spent less time babysitting, your wife wouldn't have left." The cafe suddenly went quiet. Lily lowered her crayons slowly. Ethan's jaw tightened for only a second, but his face stayed calm. "She didn't leave," Ethan said quietly. "She died." For a moment, guilt flashed across the bully's face, then disappeared behind another grin. "Damn," he muttered, "that's even worse." A few customers looked uncomfortable, but nobody stepped in. Lily's eyes watered. "Daddy!" Ethan gently touched her shoulder. "It's okay, sweetheart." The bully leaned against the table, enjoying the attention now. "Relax, man, I'm joking." Ethan slowly stood up. Not angry, not loud, just controlled. And something about the way he moved changed the entire atmosphere in the cafe. The bully noticed it too, because suddenly the tired single father in the gray hoodie didn't look ordinary anymore. The cafe had gone so quiet that even the sound of rain outside seemed louder now. Ethan stood beside the table, one hand resting near Lily's shoulder. His expression stayed calm, but there was something cold behind his eyes now. Not anger, control. The kind built over years of surviving things most people could never imagine. The guy in the leather jacket laughed nervously. "What, you gonna cry or something?" His friend smirked, but it was weaker this time. Ethan looked directly at him. "You should walk away." The sentence wasn't loud. That was what made it unsettling. The bully stepped closer instead. "Or what?" Lily quietly grabbed her father's hoodie sleeve. Several people in the cafe were watching now. A barista whispered something about calling security, but nobody moved. The bully gave Ethan a shove against the shoulder. "Come on, tough guy!" What happened next barely looked real. Ethan moved with frightening speed. 1 second he was standing still. The next, the bully's wrist was twisted downward while his body slammed harmlessly, but completely helplessly, against a nearby table. Cups rattled. Chairs scraped across the floor. The entire cafe gasped. Before the bully's friends could react, Ethan turned sharply toward them. Not wild. Precise. Military precise. One guy froze immediately. The other rushed forward out of panic more than courage. Ethan sidestepped him effortlessly and locked his arm behind his back without even throwing a punch. "Sit down," Ethan said calmly. The guy obeyed instantly. Nobody in the cafe spoke. The bully on the table groaned in pain. "Okay! Okay!" Ethan released him immediately and stepped back. No extra violence, no ego, just control. Then something unexpected happened. An older man near the counter slowly stood up, staring at Ethan in disbelief. "No way," he whispered. Ethan recognized him instantly. Former Staff Sergeant Miller. The old veteran looked shaken. "Cole?" Ethan's face hardened slightly. "Been a long time." Miller looked around the cafe before speaking carefully. "You people have no idea who this man is." Silence filled the room again. Miller swallowed hard. "This guy served in Delta Force." The color drained from the bully's face. Lily looked up at her father with wide eyes. "Daddy, what's Delta Force?" Ethan looked down at her softly, the dangerous edge instantly disappearing from his face. Just an old job, sweetheart. But nobody in that cafe looked at him the same way again. Nobody spoke for several seconds after the words Delta Force left Miller's mouth. The bully slowly pushed himself upright, rubbing his wrist with shaky hands. His confidence was gone now, replaced by embarrassment and fear. His friends avoided eye contact completely. Ethan didn't look proud. He didn't look threatening either, just tired. Like a man who had spent years carrying memories heavier than anyone in that cafe could understand. Lily tugged gently on his sleeve. "Daddy, did you really fight bad guys?" A few people quietly smiled at her innocent question. Ethan knelt beside her chair. "Sometimes," he answered softly. "Were you scared?" For the first time that night, his eyes looked distant. Every time. The cafe stayed silent, listening to him. Ethan brushed a strand of hair away from Lily's face. "Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It just means you protect people anyway." Lily nodded seriously, like she was memorizing every word. Behind them, the bully finally stepped forward again, though this time there was no arrogance left in him. "Look, man," he said quietly, "I didn't know." Ethan stood slowly. "No, you didn't." The young man swallowed hard. "I'm sorry. About your wife, too." Ethan studied him for a moment. The anger he could have shown never came, maybe because life had already taught him how short and fragile people really were. "She was better than me," he said quietly. "Lily deserves to remember her that way." The bully lowered his head. "I crossed the line." "Yeah," Ethan replied calmly. "You did." For a second, nobody moved. Then Ethan extended his hand. The young man looked shocked before carefully shaking it. "Learn from it," Ethan said. "That's enough." Even Miller smiled faintly from across the cafe. The tension finally broke. Conversations slowly returned. Cups clinked again. Rain still tapped against the windows, but the room felt warmer now. Lily climbed into Ethan's arms. "Daddy?" "I think Mommy would still call you a superhero." Ethan's composure cracked just slightly. He hugged her tighter and kissed the top of her head. Around them, strangers pretended not to notice the tears gathering in the former soldier's eyes. Because at that moment, Ethan Cole didn't look like a Delta Force legend. He just looked like a father trying his best not to break.